It's Destination Uri, and it's the morning show. I'm Ronan. This is Feargal McCormack. In our Christmassy mood, here we are. You're most welcome. How are you?
Thank you very much, Ron. Delighted to be here.
It's always good to see you here because you bring sense to economics. I've all my life been a fiscal dyslexic, and it's always worked. I told bank managers this, and they had a certain pity with me. Yeah. And so here we are. We're in a situation of good news in the Republic. They're out of the bailout of the Troika. And Enda's speech to the nation the other night, the Prime Minister, the Taoiseach, guarded optimism, I would have thought.
Well, I think to be fair, it obviously was politically driven because he wanted to give the impression that obviously the coalition government had done great work, and they now had regained some form of independence in terms of economic sovereignty, albeit the reality is that until they repay back 75% of their Troika loans, that there'll be biannual, 6 monthly reports, and there's a fair bit of input. But I think that behind all that smokescreen, the reality is that yes, the Republic have adopted. They've taken some of the hard pain. I think, to be fair, they have more to come, and I think he did say that. I think Union has been more realistic than Enda, but obviously different roles. I think one has to compliment the South for what they've done. I think it will probably be a role model in 20 years' time from somebody who, an economy that was right up there, went right down and came back again. And to be fair, in any form of life, those who can adapt and acknowledge mistakes and recover probably go on to do great things.
Is there an evolutionary process at work on those who are in their present difficulties, those who are going down, who can't afford the mortgage, who can't make ends meet? Are these the weaker who are going to go to the wall, and necessarily so?
Well, I'm not sure the weaker, and I think it's very important we acknowledge that nobody does not appreciate the personal difficulties that people have in debt situations. But I think equally, if we take it slightly to a business environment for a second, there is empirical evidence in the bucketful to show that those who either fail first time round or who come close to failure ultimately learn more from those mistakes and experiences and become unbelievably successful in business. Some of the most successful people, I mean, Dennis O'Brien's first couple of business experiences were not particularly good, but he learned from them. And I think that so long as we have the savvy, and I think we will, because nobody will want to go through what has happened the last 4 years in the South in particular, the savvy to learn and not to get carried away again. And I think the key to that will be the people. I think the people have to realise, and I think they do, I think we all realise, that we were perhaps living beyond our means a few years ago, that life's very simple. You have to earn it to spend it.
Oh yeah.
And basically, you have to earn it to plan for the future. And if you spend it all today, and you're going to live to maybe you're 90, and you're not going to be working at your 90, then you're a fool.
Yeah.
So literally, I think we got a wake-up call. I think it'll take us a while to rebalance, because I think, to be fair, this isn't something that'll happen overnight. I think it's something that I think you will see saving coming back. I think you will see people reluctant to go to the same levels of debt. And to be fair, I think in hindsight, we will all benefit from that dose of reality. We don't need en-suite bedrooms in every house.
No, of course not.
We can still rear families without the so-called massive luxuries of space we had. And I think there are lessons there. And if we take those lessons, and I think there will always be upheavals outside our control, because an island like Ireland is very open, particularly the South. It's a very open economy. It'll be influenced greatly by world events.
Yeah, Micheál Martin was talking. He wants the Taoiseach to do more and to do it more quickly. With this bailout, exiting the bailout, what freedom in reality does that give the government to invest in the economy? I suppose that's what it's about.
Yeah, I'm not sure it gives them much freedom. I think the reality is, if they continue along and there's at least one more further budget of austerity required. But I think the reality here is that the government are not stupid enough to not to realise that this is a process that must now be built upon. I think the very worst thing they could do is to to overly spend money. We're going to have to gradually increase our productivity, generate more revenue from off the island, which is what they're really doing, to be fair, and from that then build up our wealth again within the island.
Last month wasn't good. We were down in the footfall in Belfast, I noted this week. They're trundling on towards Christmas and it's increasing a bit, but not greatly helped by bombs going off.
Well, I think that, really, it just amazes me why people don't think this strategy through. Business requires confidence. Business and people require stability. If we don't live in this life to create a better future for future generations, then it's sad. And to be honest with you, no case, no justification could ever be made for bringing bombs or incendiary devices or anything else, no matter what the cause, into an environment where people are socialising, where they're doing business. And therefore, I feel sorry for the people of Belfast, to be honest with you.
Sorry for us all, because we're going to Belfast to shop as well.
Yeah, and more importantly, but it has a knock-on effect on Northern Ireland, and will ultimately have a knock-on effect on Ireland, because the further you are away, and you hear about a character walking into a shop with an incendiary and going on fire and walking out, those stories go around the world, and all of a sudden Belfast becomes Northern Ireland. Then it becomes Ireland. So, the reality is these things affect us all. So what I would say is that we must be very careful not to let these people drive our agenda, but sufficient to say that the good spirit, and we've come a long, long way. And I think, to be fair, Haas, I see leaks of it today, allegedly, in the Telegraph. But to be fair, our politicians, I think, have tried hard. And I think that when you see what Haas is trying to do, you realise that we're trying to ask men and women to solve problems in a matter of years, which have taken centuries. And I think we need to encourage them. And I think we also need to acknowledge that there has to be compromise. That literally no one party, no one community can get their own way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to be give and take.
That's the hallmark of civilization.
But the prize is great, because political stability with the people we have will deliver a level of economic prosperity we have never seen before. And in this part of the world, we have got to grow up quick. We cannot be relying on government subvention from London to continue. We cannot continue long term for the next generation generating 70% of our GDP from the public sector. It is just not an economic, feasible model.
How are we looking around the economy as you see it evolve and roll out in Newry this Christmas time? Do you get a sense of well-being? We don't have any statistics yet.
Well, I think what you do get a sense of, and I think it's important to put it there, that a little bit of confidence has come back into the market. And I think that's a combination of two factors. I think, number one, I think people have adapted. They're more conscious that the uncertainty that perhaps was there 2 years ago, and to a lesser extent last year, has evaporated. And secondly, people are beginning to see the fruits, the shoots of recovery, in Northern Ireland in terms of across all sectors. There is an uptick in purchasing, which is the next stage to revenue generation. There is an uptake in that, if you look at all the economic trends, they're expecting growth in Northern Ireland next year of around 1%, which is a big achievement compared to where we come from. They're expecting a similar growth, probably even higher, maybe 1.4, 1.5 in the south. The UK is expecting near 2%. Europe, for the first time in 5 years, is forecast 1% growth. That's the Euro region. And then you have the US being forecast. So once those things happen, and remember, we're an open economy, and if all of a sudden those small percentages in low interest rates in the background, I think the one thing we need to be careful of, we need to be very careful and acknowledge that interest rates can't stay this low forever. So we need to be careful that we don't commit ourselves to a level of debt or mortgage that we'll find difficult in the future. But yes, I'd be optimistic. To answer your question, I think there's a good spirit in there. I think there's that sense of realism, which is really fundamentally important. I don't think anybody's getting carried away. I think that people are expecting a better value for money. I think that people have cut their cloth. and I think people are offering better value for money. A lot of the fat has come out, and I'd be optimistic. I think it's very encouraging to see the car parks full. I think I haven't been at the Newry on Ice. I don't know how it's going, but however it's going financially, I look out from my office. It looks tremendous at night time. You think you're in some international city. I think, to be fair, from a Warren Point of view, I have to put my hat on. I think the decorations, I've never seen them as nice, and I think at times we knock people. We should turn around the other way at present. I think people are making a big effort, and may I say, I think your own programme is now contributing to a level of infrastructure and debate in the area that wasn't necessarily taking place. I think it is added, as has local radio and etc. And I think that as we move forward, we have to realise that within this community, that working together, we can achieve far more than shouting at each other.
What a nice way to leave it. May I wish you a happy Christmas.
The same to you and many of them.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Go well. That's Feargal McCormack. Music maestro, please.